On Christmas, my uncle blocked the door and said, "You're not family." Mom laughed. I got in my car and sent the message I'd been holding onto for months. 5 minutes later, half the family walked out. You ever find yourself sitting in your car, parked outside a house packed with people who are supposed to care about you, wondering what exactly you messed up? Though deep down, you already know the reason? That was me last Christmas. The heater was still trying to do its job, and my windshield was clouded with a mix of breath and nerves. In the passenger seat sat a small gift bag, homemade fudge, and a handwritten card tucked inside. My mom's favorite. Or at least, it used to be. The house looked like it had been ripped right out of a Hallmark movie, with fake snow spray on the windows and twinkling lights wrapped around every post. You could hear kids shrieking inside, Bing Crosby crooning on repeat, the kind of overly perfect holiday scene you only see in commercials, complete with shiny teeth and matching sweaters. Except this wasn't a commercial. This was my family's house, and I wasn't technically invited. I got a half-hearted forward from my cousin, now renamed Megan, that said, "You should come. It's still your family, even if things are weird." Which in family code translates to, "You're not wanted, but if you show up, keep it quiet and don't make trouble." So yeah, I sat there for 10 whole minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel, wondering if I should just drive home. Guess I should back up a bit. My name's Caleb. I'm 29. I used to be the golden kid. Straight A student, Eagle Scout, the guy who fixed everyone's phones and hooked up grandma's Wi-Fi. Never complained, never caused problems. But then came the summer everything shifted, the summer of the inheritance. My grandpa passed 2 years ago, left behind a decent chunk of land, a few bonds, and one small surprise in his will, a scholarship fund he'd opened in my name when I was 12. He'd never mentioned it much, so I figured it was just a little college fund. Turns out, he'd been quietly adding to it for years, building it through a trust. Nobody else had a clue. When I finished trade school and decided to open a small garage, he'd already written the bank a check before he died. 50 grand. No strings. Just his way of saying, "I believe in you." I didn't tell anyone. The only reason I even found out was because the bank called to confirm the transfer. A few weeks later, when I signed the lease on my first shop, 2 modest bays on the industrial edge of town, I got a text from my mom. "Just heard from Aunt Carol. Are you starting a business? Why wouldn't you ask us for help?" Help? These were the same people who told me I was wasting my potential fixing cars instead of chasing a real degree. I replied, "Grandpa already helped me." And that's when it all blew up. My Uncle Ron, the same guy who once sneered, "You'll be pumping gas while your cousins buy Teslas," left a voicemail saying, "So, you manipulate him into changing the will." My mom followed up with, "You knew what you were doing. That money should have been split." Split? It was never theirs to begin with. But somehow, me getting anything at all meant I'd broken some invisible family rule. I hadn't seen any of them since. Until that Christmas. And yeah, I was nervous, but a small part of me hoped maybe time, and sugar cookies, had softened things. Should have known better. I finally stepped out of the car. The cold bit through my coat, gravel crunching beneath my boots. I held that little gift bag tighter than I meant to. Before I could even knock, the door swung open. Uncle Ron stood there, expression flat, body angled just enough to block the entrance like a bouncer at a bar. "Well, look who finally decided to show up," he said. His breath puffed white in the air, but his tone was sharp enough to cut glass. I forced a smile. "Merry Christmas, Uncle Ron." His eyes hardened. "You're not one of us anymore." He said it once, then again, and again, over and over, like a glitching record in my head. "You're not one of us anymore." He jerked his chin toward the driveway. "You made that clear, with your secret inheritance, your little business, your fancy independence." I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. I wasn't ready for this level of hostility, not on a day when people wear matching flannel pants and sing carols. Then I heard laughter behind him. My mom's. And there she was, standing in the foyer, dressed like she stepped out of a Pinterest board, holding a mug that read * Merry and Bright. * She pointed toward the living room and said, in this sing-song tone, "I gave your seat to someone who actually shows up for family." Then she turned and walked away like nothing had happened. I just stood there, the fudge bag dangling from my hand, frozen. Uncle Ron stepped back inside and closed the door, not slamming it, not shouting. Just shut it softly, like I was a package that had ended up at the wrong address. I stood still for maybe 3 seconds before turning around, walking back to my car, and sliding into the driver's seat. I set the fudge gently on the passenger side and pulled out my phone. Because I had something saved, something I'd been holding onto for months. And I knew this was the moment to send it. The message wasn't long, just a screenshot. One I'd taken back in September when Grandma had a health scare and wound up in the hospital overnight. Everyone lost their minds. Group chats buzzing nonstop. My cousins flew in. My mom called everyone. Everyone but me. I only found out from the hospital staff. I showed up the next morning with coffee, flowers, and a blanket. Grandma smiled when she saw me, reached for my hand, and whispered, "You always show up, Caleb." Then she drifted off to sleep. Before she did, though, she showed me something. Her phone, open on the bed tray beside her. The family group chat. One thread stood out. My mom had written, "Let's not tell Caleb. He'll make it about himself." Aunt Carol replied, "Agreed. No drama. This is about Mom." And Uncle Ron chimed in, "Last thing we need is his pity parade and those stupid I'm still family eyes." They'd laughed about it. Added emojis. My name tossed around like gossip at a lunch table. I didn't say a word. Didn't tell Grandma. Just took the screenshot. And saved it. That photo was the message I sent from my car. Nothing fancy. Just the screenshot with 4 simple words underneath it. Asterisk Merry Christmas to you. Asterisk I hit send, set my phone down, and started the engine. As I backed out of the driveway, my phone lit up like a cheap Christmas tree. First buzz, my cousin asterisk Ryan. Asterisk, then asterisk Megan. Asterisk then, weirdly, Aunt Linda, who only texts when someone dies or there's a missing casserole at a potluck. I parked a few houses down, not because I cared all that much, but because I was curious. The messages poured in like a wave, passive aggression leading the charge. Ryan, dude, what is this? Megan, WTH, Caleb, that's low. Linda, did you really send that? Today? Then came one from an unknown number. You're a pathetic little boy. Classic asterisk Uncle Ron. Asterisk 5 minutes later, silence. Then another buzz, Megan again. Half the family just stood up and left. I just stared at the screen, blinking. I hadn't seen that coming. I thought I'd get blocked, cursed out, maybe banished from the next Secret Santa rotation. But people walking out? That I didn't expect. I sat there, engine idling, windshield still fogged up, the fudge bag tipped over on the seat beside me. Another message came through, Megan again. And Linda started crying. Grandma asked what happened. Mom went pale. Then Ryan showed her the screenshot. I think she dropped her wine. Dad stormed off, called you ungrateful and manipulative. But Linda snapped back, said this is exactly what we do. Leave you out every time. I couldn't believe it. Someone actually stood up for me. In that house. I leaned back, one hand on the steering wheel, watching the lights shimmer down the street. Reindeer on roofs, inflatable Santas bobbing in the wind, silent night, echoing from someone's porch. I let out a small laugh. Not a happy one, just surprised. Then my phone rang, Megan calling. I let it ring once before answering. Hey, she said softly. Hey, you okay? Define okay. She sighed. Look, I didn't know they said all that. I didn't read the chat that day. I'm not mad at you. There was a pause. Grandma asked where you went, she said finally. When you didn't come in. Something twisted in my chest. I never meant to hurt Grandma. She wasn't the problem. She never took sides. She still sends me birthday cards with $20 bills and notes that say things like asterisk, don't let them dim your light. Asterisk, tell her I dropped something off, I said quietly. But figured she was tired. She's not mad, Megan said. Just confused. I didn't respond. Anyway, she added, they're still fighting. Like, actual yelling. It's kind of amazing. A Christmas miracle, I muttered. You want to come back? Do you? There was a long pause. Maybe not tonight, she said. But soon. Before hanging up, I asked something I hadn't asked anyone in that family for over a year. Do you think I'm overreacting? She didn't even hesitate. No, I think they got too comfortable hurting you. Then she added, and you just ruined dessert. Mom was mid-slice on the pecan pie. That made me laugh. When I got home, I stuck the fudge in the fridge, turned on Do Not Disturb, and watched a movie alone. The best part? It was quiet. No fake hugs. No. Asterisk you should smile more. Asterisk no being seated at the kids' table at 29. Just me, a peppermint candle, and the small piece of knowing I didn't swallow it this time. I'd finally sent the message. The next morning, My phone lit up with 3 texts and a voicemail from a number I hadn't seen in months. Asterisk grandma. Asterisk her first message read. Asterisk call me when you can, sweetheart. No rush. Hope you're okay. Asterisk then another. Asterisk I heard what happened last night. I'd like to hear it from you. Asterisk and finally, simply, asterisk Caleb. Come see me. Please. Asterisk no guilt trip. No manipulation. Just grandma. I sat there for a while, staring at those words, unsure if I could walk into her house without breaking down. Not from anger, but from everything else. The sadness. The years of being the spare part in every family photo. The one holding the camera, never in the frame. But I owed her this. So I got dressed, grabbed the leftover fudge, and drove across town. Her porch still had that tiny Christmas wreath I made in 2nd grade, lopsided and shedding glitter. She'd never taken it down. She opened the door before I even knocked. Hi, Caleb, she said softly, like I'd just come home from a long deployment. Hi, Grandma. She didn't hug me right away, just stepped aside and waved me in. She was wearing a thick green cardigan that smelled like sugar cookies and old books. The living room looked exactly the same. Crocheted blankets, the same cozy fireplace, and on the side table, a framed photo of us at my trade school graduation. The only family photo where I wasn't hidden in the background. She motioned for me to sit. Poured tea. The silence was gentle. Then she said, plain as day, I'm sorry. I blinked. What? I read the messages, she said. The ones you sent. And the ones you didn't. She looked tired. I saw what your mother wrote. What Ron said. I had no idea. I didn't want to upset you. You were protecting me, I said quietly. She shook her head. I should have been protecting you. I looked down at the mug in my hands. It's been like that for a long time. The jokes. The way they look at me like something's wrong with me. She didn't deny it or explain it away. She just reached across the table and took my hand. I'm proud of you, Caleb. Always have been. You built something out of nothing, with your own 2 hands. Your grandfather saw that. That's why he did what he did. I swallowed hard. They think I manipulated him. Grandma chuckled softly. Your grandpa couldn't be manipulated into eating broccoli, let alone changing a trust. That got a small laugh out of me. She leaned back. You know, after your message last night, Ryan and Linda went after your mother. Said she'd gone too far for too long. Carol stormed out. And your uncle? Haven't seen him this rattled since someone parked in his assigned church spot. I raised an eyebrow. He has an assigned space? Painted his own name on the curb, she said, smirking into her tea. She said it dryly, with reflective paint. I couldn't help it, I laughed. A real one this time, not the forced kind you give out of politeness. Grandma leaned in a little, eyes glinting. Point is, she said, not everyone in this family is blind or cruel. Some of us just stayed quiet for too long. I looked at her, really looked at her. Why are you telling me this? She didn't blink. Because I'm tired of watching you be treated like a spare part. Her eyes shimmered, but no tears fell. And because I want you to come to dinner. I hesitated. Not Christmas dinner, she added quickly, lips twitching into a small smile. That ship has sailed. I mean my dinner. Just us. No noise. No drama. I nodded, a lump forming in my throat. I'd like that, I said. She smiled again, warm and sure. Then she surprised me. There's something I've been meaning to give you. She stood up, walked to a small drawer near the old hutch, and came back holding a thin folder. Your grandfather left a few things behind, quiet things. Not in the official paperwork. She handed it to me. Inside was a copy of a property deed, not for her house, but for the empty lot behind it. Prime land. The kind you only find in real estate magazines with words like rare opportunity. I frowned. What is this? She clasped her hands. He bought it for your future. Said he wanted to build something there for you. A shop, a space of your own. A legacy, not just tools. I stared down at the deed, my pulse pounding. I didn't know if I should give it to you, she admitted softly. But after last night, I think it's time. It hit me harder than I expected. This wasn't about money. It was about being chosen. Finally, intentionally, and without competition. No strings, no guilt, no comparisons. Just faith in who I was. I sat there in silence, trying to breathe through it, while Grandma busied herself opening a tin of cookies like she hadn't just shifted the foundation of my world. As if handing over land was no bigger deal than offering me dessert. And for the first time in years, something in me loosened. Not everything was broken. Not everyone had turned their back. Some bridges weren't burned. They were just waiting for someone to rebuild them quietly. When I got home that night, my phone was lighting up nonstop, like a microwave burrito ready to explode. Apparently, my little screenshot had gone semi-viral within the extended family chat ecosystem, which, let's be clear, isn't a real ecosystem. It's just a digital swamp of middle-aged relatives using the wrong emojis and signing every message like an email. Asterisk Linda asterisk, I won't be part of a family that bullies a kid who did nothing wrong. Merry Christmas. I'm out. Asterisk Ron asterisk, he's not a kid. He's almost 30, and he blindsided us. Asterisk Megan asterisk, he didn't blindside anyone. You're just shocked he finally spoke up. Asterisk Pam asterisk, can we please not fight on Christmas? Asterisk Ron asterisk, this is exactly why we need to. Asterisk Ryan asterisk, no, this is because you're a narcissist. I wasn't even in the chat anymore. I'd left 2 years ago, but screenshots started rolling in like popcorn in a hot pan. Megan even sent a screen recording with the caption, asterisk live footage from the group meltdown. Asterisk I watched it once, grinned, and set my phone down. Weirdly enough, I didn't feel triumphant. Not in that movie ending kind of way where the underdog wins and a rock anthem plays. What I felt was quieter, tired, relieved, maybe even nervous. Like I'd finally said the truth out loud, and now I had to live with its echo. 2 days later, the ripple effects hit new highs, or lows, depending on how you look at it. Mom posted on Facebook, asterisk when family turns on you. Remember, diamonds are made under pressure. Asterisk, which would have been fine if it hadn't come with 17 hashtags. Asterisk, hashtag still standing. Hashtag family first. Hashtag fake people everywhere. Hashtag let them talk. Asterisk, and my personal favorite, asterisk hashtag unbothered queen. Asterisk, I actually choked on my tea. Then, 10 minutes later, she posted a photo of herself in front of the Christmas tree, with my childhood stocking badly photoshopped out. Like literally erased. You could still see the blur where my name had been. I didn't comment, didn't react, didn't even tap like, but I did screenshot it. Because one day, that level of pettiness deserves a frame. Meanwhile, my shop, the garage I'd built from the ground up, was finally starting to thrive. I'd put up a simple Christmas promo, discounted winter checks, free wiper blades, and hot cocoa for anyone waiting. Megan shared it. Then asterisk Ryan. Asterisk, then their friends. Word got around. And people started showing up, not just for oil changes, but to talk. One woman came in with tears in her eyes and said, my brother hasn't spoken to me in 5 years. You reminded me it's okay to stand up for myself. I hadn't expected that. It messed me up in the best way. The more I stayed quiet, the louder the good things became. Then, of course, came the call. Blocked number. Mom. I let it ring out. No voicemail. Then a text. Asterisk we need to talk. In person. Asterisk no greeting. No kindness. Just a command. I ignored it. 2 hours later, another ping. Asterisk I know what your grandmother gave you. That was not the plan. We need to discuss this as a family. Asterisk ah? There it was. Not reconciliation, damage control. Later that night, I sat alone in the garage after closing. It was peaceful. The smell of oil and metal and coffee hung in the air. I looked around at everything I'd built. The walls I'd painted, the floor I'd sealed, the shelves I'd cut and stained myself. This was mine. Every inch. Built without their approval, their permission, or their praise. And that's when it hit me. I didn't want back in. I didn't want a seat at their table. Because that table was full of splinters. It mocked you when you sat, missed you when you left, but only because it needed someone to belittle. I was building a better one. And next time they came knocking, they'd have to wait. Maybe I wouldn't even answer. Not right away. She showed up on a Wednesday. No call. No text. Just the sharp tap of heels on concrete and the clipped knock of her manicured hand against the garage door. I was under a truck when I saw them. Those polished leather boots, spotless and wildly out of place in a room that smelled like grease and rubber. Slowly, I rolled out from under the truck. There she was, my mother, standing in the middle of my garage, clutching her designer purse like it was a briefcase full of evidence. She didn't smile. Caleb, she said flatly, we need to talk. I stayed on the mechanic creeper, staring up at her from the floor. You're 2 days early. Her brows furrowed. For what? For your next cryptic Facebook quote, family group chat meltdown, or dramatic speech about loyalty. She exhaled hard. Can we not do this? I'm literally lying on oil-stained concrete, I said. Doing nothing is kind of my theme today. She glanced around the garage like it was a crime scene. This place, she muttered. I expected something more. There's more, I said, standing up and wiping my hands on a rag. It just doesn't come with linen napkins and lies. She flinched. I walked to the sink, turned on the water. You wanted to talk? Go ahead. For a moment she said nothing. Then, softly, your grandmother told me about the lot. The water hissed. Of course she did, I said. Because unlike you, she actually treats me like family. She didn't answer, just walked slowly around the garage, running a finger along the edge of a workbench. That land, she said finally, was supposed to belong to all of us. Not just you. I raised an eyebrow. The same us that laughed about not inviting me to Grandma's hospital room? That family. That was taken out of context. Sure, I said. The context being, you took me out of everything. She shook her head. You're twisting things. I dried my hands. No, Mom. For once, I'm just repeating them. You don't get to rewrite history because the truth's inconvenient now. Her voice softened, sugar-coated. Caleb, we didn't mean to hurt you. We just didn't know how to handle your choices. You were always so different. There it was, that word. Family code for disappointing. You mean I didn't go to college, marry one of your church friends, and name my kid after Grandpa's middle name? She gave me that brittle smile that didn't reach her eyes. You know I only ever wanted what's best for you. No, I said. You wanted what looked best to you. The silence that followed was thick enough to taste. I could see it. Her control slipping, her usual tactics falling flat. Then she played her last card. I miss you, she said softly. I miss having you at the table. Jenna's wedding is coming up, and I wasn't invited. She blinked, confused. Of course you were. Jenna showed me the guest list. My name wasn't on it. Well, we hadn't finalized. Stop, I said. This isn't about missing me. It's about control. You lost it, and now you're scrambling. Her face hardened. I'm your mother. And I'm your son, I said. Funny how that only matters when you need something. That one landed. She stepped back, wounded. And then, the door opened. Megan stepped inside, holding 2 coffees. Her eyes darted between us. I can come back. No, stay, I said. Mom looked like she'd seen a ghost. Megan, she said tightly. What are you doing here? Megan set a coffee on the counter. Supporting Caleb. Mom's tone sharpened. You shouldn't get involved. I already am, Megan said. We all are. You just play the victim when anyone pushes back. Watch your tone. Or what? Megan asked calmly. You'll erase my stocking too? Boom. Even I had to bite back a laugh. Mom's face drained of color. I'm leaving, she said quickly. She turned toward the door, hand on the knob. I hope one day you regret this. Maybe, I said. But it won't be today. The door closed softly behind her, and the silence that followed was heavier than any engine I'd ever lifted. Megan exhaled. Sorry, she said. She followed me here. I didn't think she'd actually come in. It's fine, I said. Honestly, that was almost therapeutic. She smiled faintly. You handled that better than I would have. I've had practice. She looked down, voice quieter now. You know, she's not used to you standing up for yourself. She's used to you shrinking. Yeah, I said. I used to mistake shrinking for keeping the peace. Megan nodded. Same. We stood there, surrounded by the hum of cooling metal and the faint smell of oil, and it hit me. I wasn't alone anymore. Not completely. And that changed everything. A few days later, a real invitation arrived. No forwarded text. No guilt trip disguised as family concern. Just a small handwritten card from Grandma. Asterisk New Year's Day lunch. Small. Just the ones who matter. Hope you can join us. Bring fudge. Asterisk I stared at it for a long time. Not because I didn't know my answer. I knew. It was yes. But it was the first time in years someone had invited me simply because they wanted me there. So I baked. I made the fudge. Even added walnuts. Hate those things, but Grandma loves them. On New Year's Day, I walked up her porch steps without hesitation. Inside were maybe 8 people. Megan, Ryan, Aunt Linda, Grandma, a couple of cousins I barely recognized. No Ron. No Mom. No, we're a package deal, energy hovering over the food table like fog. It was peaceful. There were paper hats, bad jokes, too much sparkling cider. At one point, Ryan came over and said, Hey man, I just wanted to say, don't worry. I said, grinning. I already forgave you for calling me the spare tire of the family in the 2021 group chat. He turned red. How do you even? Grandma showed me, I said. She said you had potential. I said you had nerve. He laughed awkwardly. We clinked glasses. Megan leaned in and whispered, I think Grandma's trying to start a coup. Against what? Against the monarchy, she said, nodding toward the empty seats at the head of the table. I nearly choked on my green beans. After dessert, Grandma stood, tapped her glass with a spoon, and said, I'm not doing a toast. Because I hate cliches. But I do want to say this, Grandma continued, her voice steady and sure. Everyone fell silent. I used to believe keeping the family together meant smoothing things over, pretending bad behavior was just a phase. Her eyes met mine. I was wrong. She looked around the table. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who listens, who makes space, who brings the fudge. Then, with a sparkle in her eye, she added, and who doesn't array stockings on Facebook? Laughter rippled through the room, even from me. Starting this year, she said, raising her glass, I'm only spending time with people who act like family, not just call themselves that. She lifted her glass higher. To chosen family. We all followed. To chosen family. Later, when the dishes were done and people began trickling out, Grandma pulled me aside in the kitchen. You know they're going to come crawling, right? She asked gently. Let them crawl, I said. I'm not a doormat. She smiled, satisfied. Good. Because there's something else. She reached into a drawer and pulled out a small key. What's this? I asked. To the lot, she said. I already have the deed. Yes, she said softly. But this is to the little storage unit your grandfather kept on it. I blinked. Storage unit? He had plans, she said. Tools. Notes. Blueprints. He thought maybe one day you'd build something together. My throat tightened. She placed the key in my hand. He believed in you, Caleb, even when the rest of us didn't. I stared at it, the metal cool against my palm. Thanks, Grandma. Don't thank me, she said. Just build it. Whatever it is. Build something that lasts longer than their opinions. That night, I didn't post photos. Didn't brag. Didn't write a vague quote about strength or survival. I just opened my notes app and typed one line. Asterisk, this seat was never yours to give away. Asterisk, 3 quiet weeks passed. No calls. No apologies. Just digital tumbleweeds. Then February rolled in, messy and half-melted, and a wedding invitation showed up. Megan's. Printed. Hand-delivered. My name spelled right. No +1 required. A sticky note on the envelope read, Asterisk, your seat is confirmed. Front row. Bring tissues. Not for emotions, Grandma's speech. She's unhinged. Asterisk, I laughed. Then I froze. Because taped inside was another envelope. Smaller, handwritten, from my mother. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Inside, one line in her perfect cursive. Asterisk, can we meet before the wedding? Asterisk, no apology. No explanation. Just that. At first, I ignored it. But then I thought of Grandma. Of Megan. Of who I'd become. The version that didn't need their approval anymore. The one with land, a shop, and peace. So I said yes. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral ground. Public enough that she couldn't start a scene. She was already seated when I walked in, 2 drinks in front of her, 1 tea, 1 coffee. I didn't know what you liked anymore, she said quietly. Coffee's fine, I said, sitting down. She looked older. Smaller. Like the sharp edges had finally dulled. I heard about New Year's, she said. About Grandma's speech. I nodded. She meant every word. She sipped her tea. You're building something on that lot, aren't you? Yep. She waited. I didn't add more. Caleb, she said softly, I didn't come to fight. Good, I said. Because I don't have any fight left. Just boundaries. She flinched. I made mistakes. No, I said evenly. You made patterns. She didn't argue. I wanted you to be safe. No, I said again. You wanted me to be predictable. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. You never liked that I was different, I said. Not unsafe. Just inconvenient. You couldn't brag about me at book club, so I stopped getting invited to dinner. That's not true, she whispered. It is, I said calmly. You just never said it out loud. We sat there in a silence that felt like truth. Then she asked quietly, Do you still think you're not one of us? I smiled. Mom, you're asking the wrong question. She frowned. What do you mean? I leaned back, took a sip of coffee, and said, I never was. You just finally said it. Her face fell, but I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. You could have told me back then, I said. Would have saved me a drive and a bag of fudge. She looked down, blinking hard. I was angry, she said. And I thought maybe if I pushed you out, you'd come running back like your brother always did. I stood up. Different strategies. Different sons. I left my coffee half full and didn't look back. The wedding came fast. Sunlight, white flowers, Megan in a dress that made Grandma cry halfway through the ceremony. When I walked into the reception hall, I froze. Near the head table was my seat. A crisp place card, perfectly centered. Caleb. No labels. No conditions. Just my name. Finally enough. As I sat down, Ryan leaned over and whispered, "Guess what Mom said when she saw your name?" "What?" I asked. He grinned. She muttered, "So he got a seat after all." I raised my glass, smiling. Damn right I did.